Hello, I am Mila Short, the director and producer for The Great Family Vacation. This film is about a family of 6 girls that go on a road trip to Iowa to visit family. However, everything goes wrong. They will be experiencing a lot of problems when they're on the road. Since this final cut is only a 2-minute opening scene, I wanted to provide a lot of information to sort of start the movie off right. I decided to have the first shot be a flash forward so the viewer can see what will eventually happen to the family. The 2 minutes definitely covered what I wanted to be shown to the viewer. But enough about the story. I should be focusing on the filming process. This is a CCR, so I'll be answering certain questions to help me cover everything. The first question is, how do your products use or challenge conventions, and how do they represent social groups or issues? One main concept that I want to cover is women in the film industry. There have always been this stereotype about women and what they can and can't do, especially in certain jobs. However, I think women are just as capable of doing the same job as men. Some famous women that are very accomplished in the film industry are Nancy Meyers, Chloe Zhao, and Kathryn Bigelow. In the film industry, women started showing up around the 1900s. Now they're ruling the box offices and showing younger generations that they shouldn't be underestimated. The reason I wanted to cover this topic is because I've always felt passionate about this. I did all this work for this film, and it is hard to believe that women weren't always accepted in this industry. I wanted to really highlight the topic in my final cut. All the characters I created were women. They were going on a road trip and many people think that men are always needed when it comes to trips or cars, but that's not true. This film also highlights that women are able to go on road trips and not need a man's help. Me personally, I didn't really have an issue with being a woman and creating a film, but this issue should still be brought to attention. To really get a personal standpoint on this issue, I will be interviewing the actor that played Georgia. Her name is Casey Short. Hello, Casey. So you're in my film, and I just wanted to ask you, what do you think the purpose of having women in this film is?
I think having all women in the film shows what a strong bond women can have together. It also empowers these young women to be more independent, showing that you don't need to have the presence of man on a road trip. Also, the road trip just creates so many fun memories, lots of laughs, and memories you'll never forget.
Thank you. I really agreed with everything she said. On a more positive note, having women being my actors really brought a certain fun element to this filming process. I knew I could count on them to lift up the mood and just have fun while filming. I really enjoyed having them in my film because they listened to my critiques and didn't take them personally. They all knew how much this meant to me and were always willing to make shots better if they didn't turn out right at first and redo them. We definitely had fun, but also it worked extremely hard. All the actors were capable of taking breaks in between shots so either they could have conversations or just have a good laugh. But as soon as I asked them to focus and help me, they had no problem doing so. That is why such an amazing group of actors is important when filming. Having women in this film will allow other women to be able to enjoy this movie, but also possibly relate to it. Many people can enjoy this movie, and that's why I chose this genre. Speaking of genres, let's talk about the next question. The second question is, how do your products engage with the audience, and how would they be distributed as real media products? My film is in the comedy/adventure genre. Films categorized in this genre are notorious for making the viewer laugh and enjoy the movie. I knew I wanted to do a movie in this genre because it would appeal to a larger audience. As the movie would go on, there would be more comedy incorporated. I think comedy as a whole is just a really inclusive genre and it tries to get the viewer to pay attention. My final project didn't dive that deep into the comedy part of the dialogue, but as the scene ends, the viewer can definitely expect something strange and also interesting to happen later on. The adventure in the scene is just setting other outcomes to occur. As the family is pulling away and they are about to start their road trip, they realize there is no more gas left in the car. This causes the viewer's mind to drift into what will possibly occur later in the film. I wanted to interview one of my actresses named Kinley Short, who played Claire in the movie. Hello, Kinley. You were in my film, and I just wanted to ask you, what was your favorite part of the storyline?
My favorite part was when the grandma at the end said, "uh-oh." And then I also liked the montage when all of the people were packing.
Thank you. I personally love films that lead me to think about the characters and the future of the film. A good example of a movie doing this is Jumanji. I've referenced this movie before because it's such a great example. When the characters enter the board game, it makes the audience think about what other issues they will face. I sort of took that technique and put a family spin on it. The family already knows that they are in for a very interesting 15-hour road trip. As I was researching about the type of viewers that these types of films attract, I realized that many of the data is all over the place. From 12-year-olds to 55-year-olds are all enjoying the same type of films. I knew I chose a great genre to create a film for. The only aspect left to focus on is how my film will actually be shared with everyone. As for distribution, I know exactly how I want to see this movie be shown to the world. Obviously, as the time period is changing, seeing movies in movie theaters aren't that popular anymore, but they do bring in a lot of income. I would probably put in a proposal for someone like Paramount Pictures to produce and potentially finance my film. If they think my movie could sell big, then maybe they would like to distribute it on some of their streaming platforms, like Paramount Plus or Prime Video. These are both very popular streaming platforms, and it would help get more attention to my film. Now I'm going to interview an actress and ask her how she would like to see this film be distributed. So Gina, you were in my film, and I just wanted to ask you, where would you like to see this film be distributed?
I think it'd be really good on Netflix or movie theaters because a lot more people can see your film.
Thank you. I would also like to see the film be distributed in that way. My third question is, how did your production skills develop throughout this project? I'm not gonna lie. When I started this filmmaking process, I was terrified. I wasn't totally confident with my skills. But once I started doing more research, I realized that it wasn't going to be as hard as I thought it was going to be. I just needed to focus and concentrate on what I wanted my film to be. I was looking back at my first couple of blog posts and saw that I had an enormous change. When I was practicing my shots, I wasn't being very creative. I'm actually very thankful for my practice shots because they allowed me to see my vision and see if it was what I really wanted them to be. Over time, I became more creative with what angles I should incorporate and what type of camera movements I should do. Same goes for my editing. When I was editing one of my first practice shots, I wasn't exploring everything I wanted to. When it came to editing my final cut, I was determined to try everything just to see what made the scene look the best. Everywhere from the screen recordings, the songs so I could use it in my film, to adding in a black screen to show the scene was over. iMovie was a great tool for me. It was quick and easy. I did, however, have to ask for some help when I was creating the split screen because I was originally going to use a different app to do that. I practiced making a split screen on this app called InShot, but it only allowed the screen to split into 4 parts, and I needed them to split into 6. After I did a little research, I realized that I could do a split screen in iMovie. Once I was editing it together, it was only 1 second long, but I'm glad I included it because it really added some uniqueness. I think the film really flowed and definitely seemed like an opening scene to a movie. Now I will be interviewing someone who has viewed my 2-minute opening scene. Hello, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Victoria Hess.
Oh, nice to meet you. So you've seen the opening scene to my film, right?
Yes, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks. What was your overall thoughts?
I loved the acting, the storyline, and I was just excited for the end, for the rest of the film. And I really liked the grandma's acting.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm really glad she enjoyed my opening scene. My fourth and final question is, how did you integrate technologies in this project? Let's be real. No one in this day and age would be a filmmaker if they didn't have amazing technology. Films revolve around the technology and the different techniques they can create. Everywhere from filming and editing to creating sounds and scripts. Filming was the overall easiest part of my project. That was mainly because I planned out everything to the T. I hand drew my storyboard squares, and I could have definitely drawn them on my iPad, but I like the idea of holding the paper while I'm shooting and being able to change anything if I didn't like how it looked after I filmed. When it came to my script, I did type it. It was a lot easier, and I could make revisions anytime I wanted. I did print it out and highlight the lines so I could make it easier for the actors when they were in the filming process. I typed the script on Word. I chose this app to type on because I already knew how it worked, so it was more convenient. As goes for the editing, I had not used iMovie before I started my project. It was a new experience for me. Another way I integrated technology in this project is when A phone was used to communicate to the different family members when the grandma calls the two parents to let them know that they should come over ASAP. I was originally going to have them FaceTime so I could incorporate a split screen, but I liked having split screen later in the film instead. I also wanted to show how they were communicating with each other. I also just wanted to bring attention to a lot of hidden aspects that my film had. For example, the costuming of the characters. They all have specific character types, and I wanted to help portray that through their costuming. Such as like Bella, for example. She had bright colors and kind of like this teen vibe because she was a teen, and she was mainly the positive and like the practical character type, and I just wanted to help the viewers realize that. But in the 2 minutes of my opening scene, my characters weren't really developed that much, but throughout the rest of the film, the viewers would definitely see them start to evolve. I also just wanted to bring attention to the different shots I incorporated. I used basic shots when they were having conversations, such as mid shots and pans, but I also used shots like long shots, low angle shots, and high angle shots. I even had to move the camera very frantically when the different family members were entering the grandma's house to kind of help show what the characters were feeling when entering the house. They were very scared to why the grandma called them over so fast and was so urgent on the phone. So that's why I shook the camera. I also sort of got to play around with the shots before my final cut, so this wasn't like a very spontaneous thing. I did draw them out on paper to try to see if my vision made sense out of my head and onto the paper. Most of them had to be changed, but that's the whole process. I planned this project for weeks and weeks. I did a lot of research, and I learned about the different editing techniques, different ways I can create the perfect angle for shots. I even learned about how important the setting and lighting of an area really is. Overall, I really enjoyed everything in this project and what it taught me. The biggest thing I learned, though, is that it is all of the small aspects that really make a difference in the film and bring them to the next level. When I started this film, I would have never thought that this small idea would turn into an amazing piece of art. All the blood, sweat, and tears that I've been put into this filmmaking process is all worth it. I enjoyed this process, and I learned so many new things. Being the filmmaker of this opening scene makes me very proud. I can't believe this all started as an idea and now is something that people can watch and hopefully enjoy. Thank you for listening to my creative, critical reflection of my project. I hope you all enjoy my final cut of The Great Family Vacation.